Tonight on The Final Play. Less than a week before training camp, the Saints cut ties with Junior Galette. We've got full reaction to the move and what it will mean moving forward, and a preview of the 2015 team. Plus, Les Miles continues to insist Anthony Jennings will return to the team in time for practice, but what impact will the incumbent quarterback have on this team? We're looking ahead at the Tigers campaign. Plus,
why not us? I mean, why can't we do that?
Alvin Gentry has high expectations for his first season in New Orleans. Get to know the Pelicans' new coach and find out what makes him so hopeful about Anthony Davis and company. The Final Play starts right now.
From Fox 8 Sports, this is The Final Play with Chad Sabany. Brought to you by your Southern Quality Ford dealers and Oceana Grill.
Welcome into The Final Play. With training camp kicking off this week, the Saints have several holes to fill, especially the big void left by the recent release of Junior Galette. Along with all his off-the-field troubles came consistent production and those 22 sacks over the past 2 seasons. But now Junior Galette is a free agent, and his former team will need others to step up in pressuring opposing quarterbacks. Galette's departure caps off a tumultuous offseason for the talented yet troubled linebacker.
How's it feel? Like the best day of my life?
Not even a year ago, Junior Galette said he had the best week of his life. It was back in September when the Saints had just signed Galette to a 4-year, $41.5 million contract extension. His teammates also voted him a defensive captain. However, the 2014 season was more bust than boom for the black and gold. And by December, Galette's critical comments about past defensive teammates not being as good as his current ones became a major distraction. Then, just a week after the Saints wrapped up their disappointing 7-9 campaign, Galette was arrested and booked with a charge of simple battery involving domestic abuse. The charges were later dismissed, but his downward spiral had intensified. In early June, Galette tore his pec muscle while working out and was held out of the team's OTAs and minicamp. Then a few weeks later, a video of Galette from 2013 surfaced, in which he's seen striking a woman with a belt during a beach brawl. The NFL office has the video, and Junior could face a possible suspension in 2015. In all, Galette's off-the-field issues paved the way for his exit from New Orleans, which, according to NOLA.com's Catherine Terrell, has been in the works for some time.
I think a lot of people knew that the Saints were tired of Galette's act, but they didn't quite know how much. For months, the team has been looking into options to get rid of him, whether that's a trade partner, outright releasing him, or something else. Outright releasing him was the option the Saints didn't want to take because they have so much money tied up. It's going to be a huge hit to their salary cap, not only this year but next year. But essentially, they wanted him gone so badly and didn't want him anywhere near training camp so badly that they paid to get rid of him. But what happened was basically the culmination of many months of just horrible team chemistry in the locker room, a lack of leadership despite the fact that he was a team captain, embarrassment to the organization by getting arrested, embarrassing videos were coming up of him online, and he just didn't seem to take responsibility for any of it. Not only that, he got on Peyton's bad side for a lot of those reasons, and I think that the Saints were just fed up with it.
And now the Saints will try to find someone else to lead their pass rush. There are several options, from veterans like Anthony Spencer to a pair of first-year players, but the team is now without its most consistent sack artist.
A lot of eyes are already pointing to rookie Haloi Kakaha, who is a pass rushing specialist who I think he led the nation in sacks last year. So that might be the option, but you really don't know how a rookie's going to perform until he gets on the field. So basically the Saints are going to be flying blind until training camp. I think they just have to hope that somebody steps up and they made the right decision by parting ways with a troubled but talented player.
As for the 2015 Saints, the dog days of summer will soon come to an end as the team reports to training camp in White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia on Wednesday. It's their second year at the Greenbrier, known as America's Resort. And with a much different perspective entering this camp, the black and gold are ready to get back to work. Juan Kincaid has more on what to expect over these next few weeks.
Hit it all the way down.
The time has finally come. Saints training camp week is finally upon us. Oh, how we've waited months for this week to get here. Nearly 7 months to be exact. It's been that long since the Saints last snapped the ball in a meaningful game. That's also how long it's been since the Who Dat Nation turned the page on last year's debacle of a season. It was just that forgettable. But Wednesday is a new day for Saints football. It's when Sean Payton leads the team back into training camp with new hope and the same lofty expectations. Super Bowl or bust has been this team's mantra since Payton arrived on Airline Drive 10 years ago. It's been the fan base's mantra since the Saints arrived in New Orleans back in the 60s. Question is, do those expectations become a reality this season? The offseason offered a glimpse into what the Saints will and won't be putting on the field this season. The shock of Jimmy Graham now being gone hasn't completely disappeared, but he'll become more of an afterthought if the Saints' additions by subtraction pan out like Payton and GM Mickey Loomis believe they will. If Max Unger solidifies the offensive line, if C.J. Spiller is better than Darren Sproles, if someone other than Brandon Cooks becomes a reliable receiver, Drew Brees will exhale. If Brandon Browner does what Keenan Lewis has the past 2 seasons, Rob Ryan will exhale. If Jarris Byrd finally plays like his big money contract warrants, Loomis will exhale. If anybody on the defensive line plays up to expectations, hint, hint, Akeem Hicks, Cam Jordan, anybody else? And about time will ring out all over the Crescent City. But here's the thing. There are so many unknowns, but that's what makes training camp, preseason, so much fun to watch. The goal is to get the best 53 players on the final roster, and the process begins this week at the Greenbrier. We continue our discussion on the Saints with Larry Holder. He's with NOLA.com and the Times-Picayune. Of course, you've been covering the Saints for a long, long time. And with training camp opening this week, you're going to be there like all of us will be. What do you need to see in that first week?
Look, it's really going to be simple. I have not seen them in pads, which means I want to see what, say, an Andres Pete brings. I want to see what the defensive front brings. And I want to see what these linebackers bring, say, a Stephon Anthony, a Donnell Ellerbe. I want to see what they bring to the table because we can't really get a good gauge on what they can do during OTAs and training camp. So I want to see them hit a little bit, and then we'll get into the X's and O's of position battles and this and that as we move forward.
We saw absolutely nothing in minicamp. A bunch of guys running and losing some weight. It wasn't a complete serving size of Brandon Cooks last year. We got to see enough to know that this kid's the real deal. But are people putting too much pressure, you think, on him to be the go-to guy, which he'll have to be in year 2?
Well, I already have. I already said he should be Antonio Brown. But that's who he models his game after. Look, small receiver, #1 type receiver. You'd love to get him 120 catches, 1,300 yards, double-digit touchdowns. But you look at the lack of experience at wide receiver. You look at life without Jimmy Graham. Who's going to be the guy? And he's 21. It's a ton of pressure to put on him. But look, someone in his draft class, a few spots ahead of him, someone we know all too well, Odell Beckham, did just that in a shorter time span than Cooks had. So do I think Cooks can become that? Yes. Is it maybe too much to ask right now? Maybe, but I feel like he has the ability to become an Antonio Brown type weapon within this offense.
But you know teams are going to start rolling their coverage over to put a guy in front of him, put a guy behind him, double. So somebody else on the team's got to step up at receiver. Who do you see that being?
I like one of these younger guys.
Yeah.
Brandon Coleman, Shontavious Jones. Now, do I feel like Marcus Colston is still an asset for this team? Absolutely. Do I feel like he'll be more utilized this year than he was last year? Absolutely.
Has to be.
But I think they really like what they're seeing with Coleman. They really like what they're seeing with Jones. And you can see it in practice. Yeah. Drew Brees has more confidence in him and those two players. And because they're making more plays, he says they're night and day, and that's not just cliche here. Yeah. That's accurate. So I'm curious to see when you really get them going first-team offense in preseason games, how they react to that.
Cam Jordan and Mark Ingram both signed new contracts this offseason. Both got their big money. So the tendency we always see with players is to kind of relax. Which player do you think is feeling more pressure to get it done, Cam or Mark?
Well, I think Mark has actually taken the pressure off of him. I think Cam Jordan, it has to be on him. He's gotten a deal that's a little less than J.J. Watt. Well, a lot less than J.J. Watt because his deals shoots the moon. But it's around a Robert Quinn type deal. That's huge money. And so I think he needs to rebound from a 7.5 sack season. But I think he's the best overall defender on the team where he can play every down. He can still rush the passer. He's young. He's only 25. His best years are ahead of him.
We hope.
And, well, the Saints certainly hope because they've invested a ton of money.
Okay, true or false? Drew Brees will have a Pro Bowl season and he'll throw twice as many touchdowns as interceptions.
True.
Really?
I think an improved offensive line will absolutely help. Max Unger's a huge upgrade. Tim Lolito will be better than Ben Grubbs. Unger's presence will help Jari Evans. I think the tackles are fine. And you throw in a guy like C.J. Spiller, I think that helps. And Mark Ingram's really got things going. Brandon Cooks, everybody we've mentioned, I think Drew Brees will have a better season last year. And he still had pretty good numbers last year.
He did. We call that a transition because C.J. Spiller, Mark Ingram in that backfield now. True or false, Mark Ingram, C.J. Spiller will be the best running back tandem in the NFL?
I'm going to say false because I think DeMarco Murray and Ryan Matthews in Philadelphia might be number one. Now, Ryan Matthews has a penchant for getting hurt. So does Mark Ingram, and we've seen Spiller get hurt. But here's the thing. I think they can easily be top 2 or 3.
Okay.
Number 1, I'm not going there quite yet.
Yeah, it's kind of a stretch. We can only hope, though, of course. True or false, C.J. Spiller will have more receptions than any wide receiver on the team not named Brandon Cooks.
True. I think he will be used just like a Reggie Bush and just like a Darren Sproles, and yet he can be more versatile because he can actually run the football. I don't think Sproles and Bush were legitimate, say, 20 carries a game guy, say, if Ingram goes down. So I'm going to say true.
Jairus Byrd's been a pick machine since he's been in the NFL. Didn't happen last year because obviously he was hurt most of the year. True or false, he'll have at least 5 turnovers this year at safety.
Well, I'm glad you said turnovers and not interceptions. I'm going to say true, and that depends on if you're talking a forced fumble and that becomes a turnover, someone else recovers, say Vaccaro recovers. Yeah. I will say true. Look, he babysat last year. Yeah. He babysat Patrick Robinson. He babysat Corey White, and they could not use him the way they wanted to use him. I think Dennis Allen coming in here certainly gives them a different dynamic, and they're going to implement him using his best talents possible.
I've been wanting to get this question out for a long, long time.
Oh, I'm afraid.
We have 2 freshmen, true freshmen kickers on the team. True or false, by week 4, the Saints have a veteran kicker leading their way. By week 4.
I'm going to say false, just because
Sean Payton's not patient.
That, but look, I don't think they're going to go out and find Martin Gramatica 2.0 or someone like that.
Will it depend on the record?
I think it certainly depends on the record. There's no question. But he knows what he's getting into here because there's so much inexperience at kicker that you have to give them a little leeway. And you're throwing all your eggs in that basket. So I think you have to give it a little leeway. Now, if they're 1-3 and it's all falling apart, he may be trying out kickers every week. But look, it seems like outside of Garrett Hartley for a year, have they really ever gotten a kicker right? Maybe John Casey, maybe John Carney. Yeah. They don't have a Adam Vinatieri type record with this team.
The guy they had last year was pretty good. Didn't miss very much. All right, last question. Jimmy Graham. There's so much panic over Graham being sent to Seattle, obviously for Max Unger. It's a great trade, I think, in the end. Will this Saints team be better without Graham?
I think offensively they will be more diverse, which means defenses won't know what's coming. So I guess, long answer, I think they will be better. And you look at it, they don't know, again, defenses can't key in on Jimmy Graham. Maybe they'll try Brandon Cooks, but they've got Spiller, Ingram, Colston. They got these young receivers that a lot of teams don't know about. Then you throw in Max Unger. He changes the dynamic of the offensive line. Huge problem last year. Drew Brees won't take as many sacks. The run game, obviously he can run block since Marshawn Lynch has ran up his back for years. And don't forget, that pick that they got turned into Stephon Anthony. I assume he will be the starting middle linebacker, and there are high hopes. So I think they will be better without Jimmy Graham. Now, is he a great player? Of course, but I think they will be better without him.
I've always said this team's best years have been when they've spread the ball around, and I would think it's going to happen again this year. He's Larry Holder. Thank you very much.
You got it.
Coming up on The Final Play, Leonard Fournette is the first full-fledged Heisman candidate the LSU Tigers have entered their season with in decades. But will the talented New Orleanian be able to carry LSU back to SEC power?
You're watching The Final Play.
Welcome back to The Final Play. College football kicks off in just over a month, with Tulane leading the charge September 3rd, hosting Duke on a Thursday night. Southeastern also plays that evening on the road up at Northwestern State. LSU takes on McNeese State September 5th in Tiger Stadium, while Louisiana Lafayette travels up to Kentucky. A week later, Nicholls State gets going at Louisiana Monroe. Up in Baton Rouge, the LSU Tigers are looking to rebound from an 8-5 season a year ago. With better quarterback play, Coach Les Miles' team could have easily won another 2 or 3 games. And now with a fresh start here in 2015, the Tigers are optimistic they will compete for the SEC title this fall, along with a spot in the college football playoff. But LSU needs a consistent and productive player under center. Sophomore Brandon Harris may be ready to shine after taking most of the summer reps, while teammate Anthony Jennings remains suspended. NOLA.com's Jim Kleinpeter said Harris should be the front runner to become the Tigers' starting quarterback.
This is an incentive for him to really push himself, and regardless of what happens or when Jennings returns to the team, I think he's looking at sitting out at least the first game, maybe the first half of the first game. Brandon Harris, I think now, is going to be the starter on September the 5th, and whatever he does will have a huge effect on the race.
Either Harris or Jennings will hand the ball off a lot to former St. Aug star Leonard Fournette, who enters his second year at LSU with high expectations. He set the school's single-season freshman rushing mark last fall and is now an All-SEC preseason selection with some early Heisman Trophy buzz.
Leonard Fournette, the second half of the season, was the man for LSU. I mean, they jumped on his back pretty much, and he, you know, whatever they got, it was mostly due to him. And I think his role is going to be different. He's going to get more carries. I think he averaged between 15 and 20 carries. He's going to have to average closer to 20 carries a game, and I think they're going to get the ball to him in different ways. They're going to throw it to him a little more. You saw it a little bit last year, but I think they didn't want to give him too much in his freshman year to handle. But now he's a sophomore, and he can handle this role as being the stud on offense, and he's going to get rest. They're going to shuttle some backs in there.
Defensively, there's tons of talent for new DC Kevin Steele and D-line coach Ed Ogeron to work with, but the Tigers have to be more effective up front in rushing the passer and creating takeaways.
In the past, LSU played a little bit more soft on the defensive line, but he's wanting all of them to turn themselves loose and take chances, and could lead to a big play for the offense, but it also will lead to more, I think, plays behind the line of scrimmage, big plays by the defense.
Still to come, what did Alvin Gentry see during the Pelicans and Warriors playoff matchup when he looked across at a team that got swept? Plenty of potential, among other things. Hear about the new Pels coach's visions for Crescent City Hoops.
Anthony Davis. What a grab by Davis.
When the Pelicans introduced their new head coach Alvin Gentry in May, he said his team was going to be fun to watch. If the Pels Summer League squad's up-tempo style is any indication, then Gentry was right on the money. And after the franchise locked up superstar Anthony Davis with that big contract extension, the future of New Orleans basketball seems very bright. Juan Kincaid sat down with Alvin Gentry in this one-on-one.
We showed that as well.
Why did you think Anthony needed to hear you say, AD, we're coming right back here next year to the championship? What did you think he needed to hear that from his new coach?
I don't know if he needed to say it, and I don't know how that came out of my mouth.
Did you need to say it?
But I just thought at the time, I was so excited and just thinking about him and the possibilities that, it just came out. But, why not us? I mean, why can't we do that if everybody's on the same page and we compete every night? Magical things can happen to your team.
What do you think is going to be the hardest part about this job?
Well, I think expectations are going to be through the roof, and that's okay.
From players, from fans?
I think from everyone,
okay.
From everyone. And that's okay because we're going to have very high expectations ourselves. It's a great challenge, It's a great challenge. So I think as the head coach of this team, it's up to me to make the guys understand that and set that as a goal or a mission for us to accomplish. It's going to be up to us as coaches and as players to find a way to develop a consistency so that we can win games night in and night out and have an opportunity to play in the playoffs and advance in the playoffs and see what happens from that standpoint.
People will look at you and they say, well, this is his fourth head coaching job in 30 years, and the simple fact is he hasn't won a lot, hasn't won a lot of playoff games. How do you counter that by saying, look, I'm the right guy for this job. I can get this team to where it wants to go, where it needs to be?
You got to look at the body of work that people do. You know, usually in situations where you're becoming a head coach, you're taking over a team that hadn't been very successful. That's why this job was so, you know, this job was just one that I think everybody really went out there and cherished and wanted. So if you go back and look at the resume that I have, I've taken over some tough situations, you know, and with the Clippers, even in Detroit, in those situations and things like that. I will say this, I think if you go back and look, every place that I went to, I think I left it better than when I got there. And to me, that's the situation that you have to try to look at. This is a what have you done for me lately league and job situation. So you know that going in, instant gratification is what everyone looks for, and sometimes you can get there and sometimes you can't. But I think I'm a good basketball coach. I think this is a really great situation to be in, and I think we'll be successful.
Coming up, a year ago, Jimmy Graham was number 2 on our Saints Countdown. Find out who, ironically, replaces him as we reveal the top 5 on the roster. Wrapping up the final play this week is the home stretch of our Saints Top 20 Countdown. At number 5, defensive end Cam Jordan, who the Black and Gold will count on big time this fall. Number 4 is the hometown hero, Keenan Lewis, a.k.a. West Bank, who has emerged as one of the very best cornerbacks in the game. A young player with big expectations is wide receiver Brandon Cooks, who checks in at number 3. The do-it-all wideout will be the go-to guy this season. Number 2 is center Max Unger. He was the prize acquisition of that big Jimmy Graham trade, and Unger's job is to protect our number 1 Saints quarterback Drew Brees, who tops the list based on his production, leadership, and his overall value to the team. The Saints will go as far as Brees takes them this fall. The team will kick off practice at the Greenbrier on Thursday. Fox 8 will also be at the Greenbrier covering every angle of the Black and Gold. Reports begin on Tuesday, and we'll bring you a special training camp edition of Saints Game Plan Wednesday night at 10:35. You can also follow our coverage on our website, fox8live.com. And that will do it for this week's Final Play. Thanks to Larry Holder for coming in studio and to all those behind the scenes. Our next newscast begins at 4:30 a.m. Have a great night.
The Final Play was brought to you by Southern Quality Ford Dealers and Oceana Grill.